Well, hi y'all. I had a whole nother video ready to go that I spent about a day and a half doing and editing, and when I got to the end of it, I realized that wasn't the video that I wanted to post. There's a lot of stuff in it that matters that I will be posting later, facts, figures, stuff like that. But it seemed, coming on the heels of the other videos I've done, it seemed kind of a downer. Um, all the stuff that we're doing wrong and that kind of thing. And I don't want to do that for this video, so I'm going to do something else. Today, I want to talk about why more than anything else. Why we do, and by we I mean the Arts Coalition, our members, the people in our community that are dedicated to trying to make a difference. Why the people of the community think as they do in many cases, and to ask questions. The why I do this, the why that I started the coalition, is that I got interested, or drug into, called into, whatever you want to call it, into working in community health. And I think it was just a mechanism to get me to do what I'd always wanted to do anyway, which was to try to make a difference. If when I was still in academia, I did interviews with medical students and people like that, and one of the questions you always ask is, so why do you want to be a doctor? And most of the time you'll get back a very nice, very canned, well thought out answer that they've spent months researching on the internet as to how to say the right things to answer that question. So I always asked it a little bit differently because I didn't want to hear what they found out on the internet. I wanted to hear why. How is easy. I will explain more of what our coalition is about and how we plan to go about making a difference in the community and the things that we are doing to try to affect the change that we're trying to do. But those are actually fairly easy things to do, to explain what you're doing and how you're doing it, because they're procedural. The better question is why. Why are we doing this? Why do our member organizations, why do the people that work in those organizations, why are they working as hard as they can possibly be working to try to do what they do in the community, to try to make things a little bit better for people who are most in need of help? And that question of why is something that I want to ask to all of you all as well. Because my job, a big part of my job, is to reach out and try to engage you. And by you, I mean members of our community, people who are in a position to help in the work that we are trying to do, people who need help. All these different stakeholders in the community. Why do you want to help? Why do you think some of the things that you think? And those are really important questions, because one of the big hurdles that we have is that there are a lot of people people of goodwill who don't think that real change is possible for any number of reasons. We've also got a lot of people who are good people who just believe that this kind of work is misguided, that many of the things that you do to try to help people in need just causes more need, and that the cycle of need is such that if you give somebody a thing, they'll just want more. You know, if you give a mouse a cookie, then it'll want a glass of milk, kind of deal. And the question there is not what you believe, because you believe what you believe, and that's your business. The question is, why do you believe it? Because a lot of the things that you see, and you see so many things because of the internet and Facebook and stuff like that, you see a whole lot of people expressing opinions that people didn't used to express a whole lot in company. And you wonder why. You know, okay, fine, you believe whatever, but why do you believe it? Do you believe it because somebody told you it was true when you were 6? And you just believed it then and never changed your mind? Do you believe it because someone told it to you and told you that not believing it, or whatever it is that you're believing, if you don't believe it, something horrible is going to happen? Because fear is a tremendously good motivator. Do you believe it because it conveniently coincides with other things that you believe? Do you believe it because it fits with your own ethical framework? Do you believe it because you have looked at the alternatives and found that your belief is the one that works best in the world as you see it? There's lots of reasons to believe things. I do this, and I've been doing it for a long time now, and people ask me sometimes why, and you know, if you'd have known me 10, 15 years ago, you would really want to know why, because what I'm doing now did not mesh with what I was doing then or wanted to do. And I get some comments now because I've been doing this for a long time now. The coalition's about 3 years old. I've been doing it full time for a year and a half, a little longer. I haven't had a paycheck in over a year, and I'm still doing it. And every now and again, when I'll put something out to our coalition members, or put something out on our social media or on our web page, I'll get a comment back with things like, "I appreciate your perseverance," or "Your tenacity is admirable." And there's other words for those. Pig-headedness is one that leaps to mind. But why I'm doing this, and why somebody like me, who wasn't sort of always destined to do this, is because it's not that I don't like, I really can't tolerate it when things aren't the way they're supposed to be. And I've always been just offended almost by things that aren't the way they're supposed to be. And I understand that things get messed up sometimes, and things are difficult to fix, and that things often aren't the way they're supposed to be, but sometimes things aren't the way they're supposed to be, and there's no real good reason. And I think that's where we are with a lot of this. When you talk about many of our social problems, as far as the social determinants of health, why are we such an unhealthy population in rural America, in Hopkins County? Why haven't we been able to deal with the issues that cause our young people to leave and never come back? Why do we have families that have been in generational poverty for 150 years? These are big questions. They're complex questions with complex answers. But in the world that we live in now, and I'm not talking about the world of 1950, because that was a different world, the world that we live in now in 2020, none of that has to be that way. There's no reason for people to be homeless in this society. There's no reason for people to be mired in generational poverty, generation after generation, in the society that we live in now. And a lot of us are still thinking like it's 1950, but it's not. That was then, this is now. And economically, it's a much different picture. If you consider how much wealth there is in this nation, if you consider how much productivity there is in this nation, it's almost beyond comprehension. Tens of trillions of dollars. It's a lot of money. And it is so far beyond anything anybody was even imagining back in 1950. The resources that we have available now are staggering compared to any other large country in the world. Our wealth and GDP is just extraordinary. So we have the capacity to fix these things, but we're still working from the fears, I think, in a lot of cases, of what fixing them means. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm here to tell you that given the resources that we have today, we can fix the problems that we have without breaking a sweat from an economic perspective. We just have to decide to do it. Are we willing to have people sleeping in refrigerator boxes by the railroad tracks when they don't have to? If you live in a developing country and the average wage is $4 a month, there's going to be people living in refrigerator boxes down by the railroad tracks. That's not us. And I'm not suggesting that the solution is to transform ourselves into some sort of socialist paradise. But that word is a word that we're programmed to fear too. Most people like schools. Most people like Medicare. Most people like Social Security. Those are all socialist programs, but they're socialist programs that aren't labeled as socialist programs, and they're ones that we like. So we need to stop worrying so much about terminology and start worrying a little bit more about our situation. Because if we don't fix the problems, we're going to continue to pay for the consequences of those problems. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. We don't, the objective of fixing all this isn't so that we can all go skipping tra-la through the meadow. It's not just the right thing to do from a humanitarian perspective. It's the smart thing to do, because we're spending incredible amounts of resources dealing with the consequences of the problems that we aren't fixing. And they are problems that we can fix. We have the resources to fix them. I don't know what you believe, but I want you to think about why you believe it and see where that takes you, see where that internal discussion takes you. Because I'm just a person, I've been things. I've been a soldier, I've been a carpenter, I've been a scientist, I've been a teacher. And teacher is probably the thing that's closest to what I am at my core. And I want to be part of the solution. The blue sign that used to be outside of town saying, "Welcome to the best town on earth," resonated for me as a child. And to this day, I believe that we can get closer to it. I'm not sure we'll ever be the best town on earth. It's kind of a lofty goal, but we can sure get a whole lot closer to it than we are. And I make videos, I write blog articles, I write newspaper articles, I do all kinds of things to try to reach out to the people in the community, because unless the people in the community decide this is going to happen, it is not. I can do this for the rest of my natural life, and until y'all start talking about this and you decide what path to take, and you decide to be part of the solution, I can make videos every day. It's not going to make any difference. I can do whatever on articles and newspapers. I can talk to civic clubs. But until the people I'm talking to start talking to each other, we're never going to get anywhere. I appreciate y'all listening. I appreciate your help. And I really hope that you will help to spread this message, because we've got everything we need right here to make a real difference in where we live, we grew up, where our kids live, where our grandkids will grow up. We can make it better for everybody, and nobody has to lose out. It's not a zero-sum game. Something that accrues to somebody else is not necessarily something that has to be taken from somebody. Fixing these problems is going to lift everybody up. Building the community that we would like to see will benefit everybody. And today, we're not there. Whatever you believe, this right here is a fact. That there are 2 kids born in the hospital right here today. One of them has a chance to be whatever they have the potential to be, and the other one does not. And that's just a fact. And I'll go into some of the reasons that that's true in future video, explaining some of our issues in a little more detail. But you need to think about those 2 kids, because it is a fact that those two babies born today in Madisonville, Kentucky, one of them has a chance and one of them doesn't. It's not right, it's not fair. It's not fair for the kid, it's not fair for their family, and it's not fair for the community, because both of those kids need to be part of our future. And if we don't do everything we can to make sure that both of those kids grow up to be everything they can be, we will not be able to succeed as a community in the world as it is. It's not the world as it was, the world as it is. It's a new economy. It's not the old economy. The old economy is never going to come back. We live in the world of today, and we need both of those kids. And until we decide to make it different, so that both of those kids can grow up to live the lives that they want to live, be productive, we're not going to make it. And I need your help to spread that message. I don't know if your beliefs are based on your religion, on your ethics, on what your grandma told you. You know, my grandmother is always in my ear. My mom and my dad are always in my ear. My dad told me 1,000,000 times, son, the only person you got to look at is yourself in the mirror every morning. And I believe the things that I believe because I think they're right. And I try not to take anything on face value. I try to find my own answers. But whatever your beliefs are based on, please look at why you believe what you believe. And if what you believe gets in the way of you helping the rest of us make sure that both of those kids grow up to live their full lives, I want you to examine that. Because, you know, it's not going to be me making videos, it's not going to be speeches, it's not going to be newspaper articles. I mean, think about whatever your best example is of somebody reaching out with powerful words, whether it was Martin Luther King at the Lincoln Memorial, or Abraham Lincoln at Gettysburg, or Jesus at the Mount. These are the words that they spoke, are words that guide people's lives. But if nobody had been there to hear them, it wouldn't have made any difference. So help spread the message, please. We can make a difference in Hopkins County. We can make a difference in rural America. And it's not going to happen by itself. Things are not going to get better. Things will not just work out. The way we've always done it is not going to work. And it hasn't worked for decades. But we can make a difference. We can make the world better. You and I working together can make it better. So please spread the word, and I'll talk to you next time. Y'all take care.